What are your go-to dishes to make when you want a ton of flavor for very little work? For me, cold-dressed Asian noodles are by and large the king of low-effort, high-reward, lazy weeknight cooking. They're a simple dish consisting of 3 interchangeable components: the sauce, the noodles, and finally the toppings. And the best part is that each of these can and should be prepared ahead of time, so all you need to do is take a 5-minute break from your binge-watching couch cocoon to scoop a few things into a bowl and toss them with a dressing for a delicious meal. Today I'll cover each of these 3 components as I make a few of my go-to noodle bowls. A light soba noodle salad with summer veg and a ginger scallion sauce, some fiery and numbing Szechuan-inspired sesame noodles with ground pork, and finally a zingy, funky Thai bowl loaded with aromatics and succulent poached chicken breast. Plus, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm gonna talk a little bit about some pretty interesting lower calorie tweaks like these noodles that only have 5 calories per serving. But to start off, let's chat about the most important component, the sauce. Because we're going to be prepping all of our ingredients out earlier in the week, I like to have like 90% of the flavor come from a bold sauce that packs a serious punch. This means we can leave any toppings we cook up, like ground meat or cooked veggies, very neutrally seasoned, and repurpose them for other meals besides our noodles throughout the entire week. I covered each of these 3 sauces in detail along with some nifty tips in an earlier video, which I'll pop on screen here somewhere, but they're all super simple to make because you just need to toss the listed ingredients in a container and mix them up. The seriously addictive ginger scallion sauce is from the Momofuku cookbook and is a perfect melding of aromatic, salty goodness. It's gonna look a little thick when you make it, but thins out once you toss it with your noodles, and you could always add just like a little splash of extra oil if you want. The Szechuan sesame sauce is a nutty, bold play on don don noodles that is a refrigerator staple in my house. While the Thai chili sauce is sweet, sour, and hits that perfect level of spice where your mouth just waters and you can't stop eating it. Each of these flavor-packed sauces takes like 2 or 3 minutes to whip up and lasts for a few weeks in your fridge, except maybe the scallion one you might only get like 10 days out of or something, but you're gonna go through it before then. And they're great for all kinds of meals like I mentioned in that previous video. So I totally recommend, scaling these up and just having 1 or 2 on hand all the time. Next up, let's quickly chat about noodles. You obviously can't have a noodle bowl without the noodles, and everybody is going to have their own preferences here, so feel free to just use any noodles that you want or like to eat. It's as simple as cooking your noodle of choice according to the package's instructions, then rinsing them under cold water to cool them off completely, and also, more importantly, wash off any extra starch that would cause serious stickage problems before storing them in the fridge for up to, say, 5-ish days. The 3 I'm using today and always have in my kitchen are soba, ramen, and wide rice noodles, which I really prefer over the thinner vermicelli ones. Each of these has a distinctly different flavor and texture, so I feel like I can always whip up something a little different, to keep me interested. To be on the safe side, you could also toss your noodles with a tiny squirt of oil before you store them to be totally sure they don't stick, but it's not always necessary. I will do this with my rice noodles though. For some reason, I find that this brand I'm gonna throw on screen somewhere in particular doesn't ever get stuck together, but I did a bunch of research and really couldn't figure out why. So if you have any thoughts or happen to know, just let me know in the comments below because I'm super curious about it. But anyway, let's talk about the toppings now. I find that 2 kinds of veggies plus a main protein and maybe something crunchy like peanuts or a chili crisp sprinkled over the top for some texture creates a perfect cold-dressed noodle dish without, overcomplicating things. Often I'll throw even less ingredients in, but rarely or never more. All of your veggies can be prepped at the start of the week, so ingredients we want to keep raw can be simply pre-cut, while hearty ingredients like edamame or green beans can be blanched or sauteed before storing. As I said earlier, I like to keep the seasoning for my ready-made toppings pretty neutral in case I want to use them for another dinner during the week. So I'll generally just cook my proteins with salt and maybe some minced garlic. For today's recipes, I'm simply cooking my ground pork in a skillet with a little garlic for the sesame noodles, and I'm also poaching some chicken breast for the Thai noodles. Both of these proteins can be kept in your fridge for 4 or 5 days. All of that was a long-winded way to tell you to spend 15 minutes pre-cooking some of your ingredients on your day off, so that all it really takes is the time to scoop them into a bowl when you actually want to put the dish together. Here is how I do it, using the Szechuan sesame noodles as an example. Add 1 tablespoon of your vinaigrette to the bottom of an empty bowl, followed by about 1 serving of your noodles. Next, pile up your 2 veggies of choice on either side of the bowl, layer your protein down the middle, top with another tablespoon of your sauce, add your crunchy component if you're using one, and finally stir it all together before diving right in. Following this rubric, the other 2 noodle dishes look a little something like this. The ginger scallion sauce is served with soba noodles, raw summer squash, red bell peppers, edamame as the protein, and some sesame seeds for crunch. And finally, the Thai chili sauce is served with rice noodles, cucumbers, a boatload of fresh Thai basil and mint, poached chicken, and crushed peanuts for texture. Let's give them a taste. All 3 of these rock in their own unique way, and I'm glad I have so much food here because it's like 5 o'clock and I started filming this morning at like 8:30. So I'm definitely gonna be crushing these the rest of the day. The best part about all these dishes is that when it comes to put together during the weeknight, the only dishes you make are the spoon to scoop the sauce, the fork to eat with, and the bowl you're eating out of, which, you know, that's the real beauty of these dishes. Taking a look at the nutritional breakdown of these bowls, you'll see that they're all pretty good overall, but that most of the calories comes from the sauce, noodles, and the meat. There's obviously a lot more to healthy eating than just counting calories, but if your current dietary needs are low calorie for whatever reason, you can easily shave some off by slightly tweaking a few things. Taking a look at the sesame noodles, the most calorie dense of the bunch, by just replacing a quarter of the noodles with some extra veggies, having 1 ounce less of ground pork, and topping the dish with a teaspoon of the sauce instead of a full tablespoon, you can easily cut out 160 calories. That's almost 25%. Also, calorie information on noodle packages can be very deceiving because it's for the dry noodles, and different varieties absorb different amounts of water when they're cooked. For example, I tested 2 varieties of noodles, each with 310 calories per 90 gram serving. After cooking and absorbing water in the process, the soba noodles weighed 216 grams, while the udon noodles only weighed 198 grams, which means you're getting almost 10% more food per calorie if you opt for the soba noodles. The water content of noodles lowering the calorie count reaches its final form in something like these shirataki noodles, which are up to 97% water. The other 3% being a fiber from a root vegetable. This leaves us with a noodle that has only 4.5 calories per 100 grams, which is absolutely nuts and could be a good option if you're really tight on calories at the moment. I'm going to do a video on how I like to prepare these because they can get a little weird if you don't cook them the right way, but I just wanted to say that lower calorie doesn't always mean healthier. Sure, these calories per serving look great, but they also don't have any protein or really anything else beneficial nutritionally. So if you make a dish with them, I'd really recommend bulking it up with a little extra meat or veggies so you're actually nourishing your body and not just eating, empty calories. Diet ranting aside, I just wanted to say if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it or subscribing to my channel. It really helps out small YouTubers like me, and I would really, really appreciate your help growing the channel. That's gonna do it for me in this one, guys. Until next time, later, nerds.